It may come as no surprise to you, but a lot of us live from paycheck to paycheck with no rainy day savings. A new study by Bankrate.com found that most Americans surveyed say they have a budget, but only 38% have enough money to cover an unexpected expense.
Joining us on the Kogo News Live line is financial strategist Clark Hodges. And Clark, with an improving economy, why are so many of us still not saving for that rainy day?
Well, listening to President Obama last night talking about raising the minimum wage, it doesn't matter what you make. It really doesn't. You're going to spend, most people, I should say, are going to spend what they make. Whether it's $50,000 a year or $150,000 a year, most people are spenders and not savers. And really, it boils down to they're not planners. They don't plan ahead for when they're tempted to spend money. And they look at money as something that I have to acquire things as opposed to something that I have to make my future better.
Clark, do you think that, and I'm just guessing here, do you think this is a generational thing?
No, I personally don't. I could find you 80-year-olds that do that. I could find you 50-year-olds. The only difference I see out there is the millennial generation is pretty risk adverse. They've witnessed a recession, a major recession, almost a depression in 2008. And they probably saw parents go through pain and lose a house. And I think a lot of them are pretty much like the generation that witnessed the Great Depression. You come out of it and you have a mentality of, I'm not going to take a chance with my money. I'm not going to buy a house. I'm not going to put money in the stock market. And you end up kind of having the attitude to just stick the money in the mattress, and that won't do you any good because inflation will catch up with you. What it costs to buy a car today or anything today is going to cost more in the future.
So, Clark, if we aren't saving, can you give us a few tips on how to get started? Because it's a completely different mindset. And how much should we even have in reserve?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a mindset. You really have to have a core belief in what money does for you. And we sit down with your partner or yourself, look yourself in the mirror, and come up with that core belief. Is it something that can get me places, or is it something that can acquire things for me? And I think the one phrase that I love, my father used a lot, is exercise your right as an American and buy American companies. And most people don't realize you could take $50 a month, send it to a mutual fund, invest it in that mutual fund, and that mutual fund is buying American companies, let's say a Walmart or a Costco or something like that, and you then are owning part of these businesses, and if those businesses do well, then you do well. So you have money working for you while you're sleeping every night, basically, and that's the thing you need to think of and how you need to change your mentality. Most people don't change their mentality because they don't think through what the money can do for them or how much it could grow. They just hear people say, save it, save it, save it. What you do with it's important as well.
Well, you mentioned a mutual fund, but should you put it in your checking, your savings as well, or what do you do?
Me personally, I would advise people to, my primary resource for savings would be an investment account of some sort. You need a long-term plan. You need to do the monthly things you need to do, which is basically invest that money. And it's automated, so you don't really need to think about it. But once you set it up, it's automated. But do that first. Make sure that goes out the door every month, and then you're way ahead of the game. But you've got to beat inflation with your investments. Sticking it in a savings account definitely won't do that. I have an example that may help people understand. But if you buy a bond, you put your money with the bond company. They give you an interest rate while they use your money for building roads or what have you. Then at the end of the bond duration, they give you that money back. So let's say you do a 30-year bond and you give them $10,000. Well, $10,000 in 1973 buys a lot more than it will in 2003. And so you just need to understand that your investments need to beat inflation. And the stock market has done that over time. It doesn't do it every single year, and it's not a guarantee, but it is something if you look at year in, year out, over a long period of time, it's done that. And people who invest in the market and stay in the market usually do very well.
Good advice from financial strategist Clark Hodges joining us on the Kogo News Live line this morning. Thanks, Clark.